Hey guys, welcome back to Truth Talks with Tara. We're talking all things motherhood. I am so excited to be able to have more conversations about motherhood, not only because I'm in that new season, but I feel like as I've started to share more on social media, I have invited more mom friends to the conversation. And we have Ashlee Gad here today, and we're talking all things motherhood, mission, creativity, and mom guilt. So, if this conversation is something that interests you, please stick around. And also, please leave a rating and review anywhere you get podcasts so that we can get this message and the show out to more people who may find it encouraging. So, let's just get into it, Ashlee. We have so much to talk about today, and I am really thankful for our new friendship. So, thank you for being here, first and foremost. And then, secondly, would you just share who you are, a little bit about what you do and what you're passionate about with me and with our listeners?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, an honor to be a new friend of yours. And yeah, my name is Ashlee. I am a writer in Sacramento, California. I live here with my husband, Brett. We've been married for 15 years
Oh,
and we have three kids, ages 11, 8, and 4. So I'm a little bit all over the spectrum with the motherhood and the motherhood ages these days. My
I
oldest
love
is
it.
getting ready to go into middle school next year, which does not even feel real. And
Wow.
then I have my youngest is still in preschool. So I've got kind of one foot in the little years and one foot hovering in the big years.
So
And yeah,
fun.
yeah, it's really fun. And then I just published Create Anyway, the joy of pursuing creativity in the margins of motherhood. And I also run Coffee and Crumbs, which is an online storytelling community for mothers. So that's pretty
So
much me.
fun. I love it. This is a book that I was telling Ashley this beforehand, friends, that it just came at a perfect time. And we don't want to disqualify anyone to this conversation. If you're not a mom yet, I have had conversations even before I became a mom to Hunter that I just remember storing kind of in my soul. And they don't become practical until you're a mom, really. But I just remember kind of gleaning that information and just keeping it close for now in these moments when I am a mom. So you're all invited to this conversation. I think there's something for you today. Ashley, I like to ask people though, before we start the conversation, something that they're loving, like a favorite thing.
Mm.
Could be so random, doesn't have to do with mother, it doesn't have to be, motherhood related or anything. But I just love to hear what is bringing you joy right now.
The first answer that is bubbling up inside of me is the library. I am
Aw,
having a new just appreciation for just my local library. I've been
yeah.
taking my kids there a lot more often. And I mean, they just have so many different our local library has so many different like programming and stuff for
Mm-hmm.
people to enjoy and so many
Aw,
different types of things you can check out, not just books. And I don't know, the library is awesome. I feel like it's a really underutilized resource, so I'm going to give
I
a shout out
l-
to the local library.
I love it. You know what? I live in a very small town that our library is a little lame, but we live really close to another city that I grew up in. Like it's literally
Uh-huh.
like 10 minutes away, and they, from all appearances, have a thriving library. So with a 15-month-old, I feel like he's almost there. But I could take him right now, and he could just run around and be crazy and just have like a activity. But I feel like
Yeah.
I can't underestimate those things. Like I've had
Yeah.
a few friends say like take him to the local library, do these things. We actually have a local coffee shop that they're like, "Hey, on Mondays in the summer, we're going to start doing a summer reading. Like my middle school daughter is going to read to whoever wants to come." I'm like, "Okay, like I need
How
to do these
cute.
things in
Yes.
community." And I feel like if you're someone like me that works from home and doesn't get out, nearly as much in the day-to-day moments as you want to,
Mhm.
this stuff to utilize it. So
Yeah.
good. I love
Yeah.
that. That's a sweet favorite. And also I love hearing that you have kids on all age, like every age season in a way.
Mhm.
Because me even just planning ahead in the future, just wondering like, oh, the age gaps and stuff and wanting them so close. Like I love seeing that you have them in like a close but also different season. I think that's so
Mhm.
encouraging to me too, feeling
Yeah.
like knowing I want more kids someday, but also maybe not feeling quite ready yet,
Yes,
for another
yes.
one.
I know that pressure, especially our boys are pretty close together. They're about two
Mhm.
and a half years. They share a
Yeah,
bedroom. They're really, really close. But
I love that.
yeah, that Presley's kind of trailing up behind, and there's definitely a bigger gap between them. But she holds her own.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you'll be okay.
Yeah, and as, like, the only girl, like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. She's like the little princess.
Yeah, we've really tried to emphasize friendships for Presley because she
I
doesn't have
love
a
that.
sister and she's a little bit
Right.
younger than the boys. So we've tried to really make friendship a priority for her and invite her friends over more often.
That's so fun. I'm seriously so excited to learn. I think some people think, "Oh, well, like, Tara, like, just is facilitating the conversation," but I learned so much in these episodes, and I'm so excited to learn from you, a mama who is quite a few steps ahead. So, we're gonna talk about Crete anyway, all the things today. And your mission and your purpose for writing this book was to one of the major things was to free moms from the guilt of pursuing their passions alongside the calling of motherhood. Because motherhood, as I'm learning even just in the first almost year and a half, is that it's just really all consuming. And it's
Mm.
very difficult to kind of find yourself again, for lack of a better
Mhm.
term. And so I want to ask you, why do you think that the stigma of mom guilt exists and not feeling like we can have other things outside of motherhood? And then
Mhm.
maybe could you share with us some practical ways for mothers to stop feeling this guilt? Because it's
Mm.
real.
Yeah, it is real. I know that's such a big question.
Yeah.
And when I look at you and the age of Hunter, I just
Yeah.
remember so viscerally what that season was like. I mean, you are still really, really, really in the thick of it and in the
Yeah.
trenches, and it
Mhm.
is exhausting. It's exhausting. And so I just want to acknowledge, I do think that those kind of early years of motherhood, I think we feel that so palpably, especially as
Mm.
first time moms. I remember when I had my first son, Everett, just really feeling like even after wanting to be a mom my entire life, motherhood still turned my whole world upside down.
Yeah.
I had wanted it for so long. I was one of the last of my friend group to have a baby. So I had watched all my friends go before me and had shared so much of their journey with me. And I still felt like the ground, moving under my feet when I finally
Mhm.
became a mother, just
Yeah.
everything shifting, everything changing. And I think a lot of those cultural messages started rising to the surface, just this idea that we have to be this fully sacrificial human being to be a good mom. In
Mm.
order to be a good mom, we have to give up all of ourselves. And I don't think that's actually true, but I think that was a lie that I had swirling in my head,
Yeah.
especially in those new days of motherhood, which are all consuming. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
this new little baby dependent on you for everything, and it's so hard to even separate your needs from their needs. It just kind of all blends together in
Yeah.
spit up and sleepless nights, and
Yeah.
it's just what is even going on here?
Literally.
There's such a period of transformation and a period of I don't know, this time in your life where you're kind of figuring out how to serve and how to love and how to pour out everything you have into
Yeah.
this new baby who you love so much without losing yourself in the
Yeah.
process. And it's
Yeah.
very, very hard. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And I think, part of my passion for the message of Create Anyway really comes from that place of wanting to show mothers that they don't have to let go of every piece of themselves in the
Mm.
name of motherhood. And
Yeah.
in actuality, when we retain some of ourselves, when we reclaim time and space to do the things we love, do the things that we've been called to steward our God given creative gifts, that can actually be such a blessing, not
Yeah.
only for ourselves, but also for our family. When I am taking the time to write and to take pictures and to
Mm.
do the things that light me up and make me feel alive and make me feel like I'm living in the fullness of who God created me to be. There
Mm.
is an overabundance that spills out into my family in a
Right.
myriad of ways. And for so long, the only narrative in my head was that it was selfish.
Mm.
I couldn't
Yeah.
see any part of that as being generous or being good or being a value
Mhm.
add to my family. It just every narrative in my head told me that I shouldn't, be spending
Right.
time on those endeavors.
Yeah.
So,
You see both sides of the spectrum though, and I say this from a social media perspective because, I mean, I get to see moms in my own life, but sometimes, unfortunately, the loudest voices are from social media. And so you either see the mom that is fully at home, and okay, I want to say this very clearly that what I'm saying, like, one isn't better than the other, one's not worse. Like, I'm not judging either one, but you see either one of a mom completely at home. She's homesteading. She makes sourdough every single day. Like, I wish I was this mom a lot of times, honestly, and I feel that guilt, but she has her kids' outdoor table set up perfectly, and she has all this time to do this and that. Or you see the mom that works all the time and has a
Mhm.
nanny full time. And so I can't sometimes reconcile the middle. I cannot
Yeah.
sometimes get myself to be like, okay, how do I find the middle where I'm at? Because I have these passions, but I feel the guilt of doing one or the other.
Mhm.
And so I actually do wanna talk about social media too in that sense. You mentioned that in Create Anyway too, how, you confront this idea of social media and motherhood, and, do you have any specific social media boundaries that help you in, enjoying motherhood, but then also pursuing your creativity and not feeling like you have to fit into this mold of motherhood? Because honestly, I don't think there is a perfect mold. I don't think
Mhm.
God necessarily created a perfect mold of what a
Mhm.
mother looks like and how she spends her days. So, are there things that work for you and maybe would work for us as new moms or even just people pursuing creativity when it comes to social media?
Yeah. Yeah, this is again such a loaded question. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to be careful because I want to say right off the bat that what my boundaries are and what works for me has been if you even want to call it a formula that has been developed over time. And
Yeah.
so I always just want to be careful that I don't ever want to imply that the way I do social media is the way everybody should do social media. I think
Right.
that
Yeah.
anytime we make a choice or a decision about what role technology plays in our life, what role social media plays in our life, that is going to require independent discernment, prayer, experimentation, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm really happy to share what is currently working for me, which
Yeah.
probably is
Yeah.
going to sound really drastic, maybe to some people, but I actually delete Instagram every other week.
Wow.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I also delete it the whole month of January and the whole month of August. This coming summer, I'm going to be taking off all of July and August.
Okay.
So I'm actually on Instagram a lot less than I'm off of it. And when I delete it, I have to get it just completely off my phone. I've
Mm.
tried, move it to the back of your apps, set a screen
Yeah.
time boundary and put it
It
in a
doesn't
folder and set
doesn't
a
work.
password. And I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many tips and tricks out there. And I've just learned over time that unfortunately, I mean, I'm actually consider myself to be a pretty disciplined person, but if that app is on my phone, I will find a way to get to it. And
Me
so
too. Yes. I will
it's
override that password.
I will override it. So it sounds really hardcore, but I've actually found, again, for me personally, the best strategy is just to completely get rid of it. I log out on my computer. I
Yeah.
just don't have any access every other week. And that's been really good because before I was in that rhythm, what I would do is every time I felt kind of like I was on the verge of just I don't want to say a breakdown because that sounds really dramatic, but you get to these
Yeah.
places with social media where you're so sick of it. You're so fed up with it. You feel
Yeah.
so unhealthy. You feel so gross. I mean, it's the equivalent of feeling like you've just been eating junk food all night. You just
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
feel well. And I would get to those places with social media where I had just been on it just way too much, would feel that way, and then would just delete it for a month, really hardcore. And that always felt really good. I never regretted that. I loved being off of it for an extended period of time. But I think after doing that a number of times, I kept thinking, is there a way that I can actually just not get to that place? Is there a
Right.
way
Yeah.
to just occasionally eat pizza and not eat 5 pieces in a night where I'm going to get
Yeah.
sick or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there a way to have this be just part of my regular daily cadence and not ever get to that place of feeling really, really unwell? And for me,
Yeah.
the week on, week off has been that balance for me where I can still put my toe in the water. I can
Mhm.
still access that space. I can still be part of the community. I can still use it for my work and for my art, but I'm not, I don't really see myself ever going back to a place where I'm on it all the time because I
Yeah.
think I'm,
Yeah.
I'm at a pretty healthy level now.
That's so good. I did the DraStic thing the other day, actually, it was a couple weeks ago, and have found myself like finding so much freedom from it.
Mhm.
I had eaten so much of that social media junk food, and I just like found myself on a Saturday. It was a Friday or Saturday, so I was going into the weekend, and I just deleted the app in like almost like an angry moment, like I was mad at it. Like
Totally.
I deleted it, and I just like slammed my phone down. I'm like, my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I deleted Instagram." And he's like, "Forever?" I'm like, "No, no, no." I'm like, "For the weekend." I'm like, "I'm not gonna touch it all weekend." And like that's pretty
Uh,
big because even if I
mhm,
don't consume it or post a lot in one day, like I will check it often, right?
mhm,
So my husband's like, "Wow, that's big." And I felt so good about it because
mhm,
one of the biggest struggles for me is not only coming out of a book launch season. I know you're in the same like I don't know, like life right now in season, but also just as a new mom feeling like, "Wow, I can't actually handle seeing moms." Again, nothing bad about what they do. It's just my heart can't handle it. I can't
mhm,
handle seeing a mom create this beautiful homemade water table that she switches out every single like I just again, I think it's beautiful and lovely and I love that inspiration, but in that moment my heart could not handle it. I
mm,
had to log off because of the comparison, because of the anger, because of the guilt I was feeling. I literally told Michael, my husband, a week ago, I said, "I feel like I need to be doing more for Hunter because he doesn't have this toy or that toy." And it was because I had seen an Instagram reel. Okay. And
mhm,
I realized in that moment how much I had let that control the way I was mothering in my heart. And that did not feel good. So I really appreciate how like hard and fast you are with your boundaries because I think we all feel like we have discipline, but then when it comes to maybe doing the hard thing that will produce that good fruit, like, logging off consistently
mhm,
for a week or a weekend, we can't get ourselves to do it. But I find that it just helps me be a better mom. So
mhm,
I do want to ask, this is kind of a off the cuff question, but I've been thinking about it a lot and I'd love to hear your thoughts after reading Create Anyway. And that is, what would you say to the mom that maybe feels like, or to the someday mom who has always wanted to be a mom, like us, very much like both of our stories, I can relate that, I believe when I was younger that my purpose, actually, my purpose was to be a mom.
mm,
And then when I became a mom 15 months ago, I'm like, there's a difference between my purpose and my calling. So, do you
mm,
have any wisdom to speak to that? How to a mom that maybe feels like her purpose and her identity has really become muddled and she can't separate
mm.
that from her motherhood? Are we as individuals, as women, is our main purpose and identity to be a mother, or how does that differ from our calling? Do you have some wisdom on that? I'd love to
Mm.
hear.
Whoa, okay.
Oh, we're
That's
going there.
that's an off the cuff question.
Sorry to put you on the spot here.
No,
I've been thinking about it a lot.
no, that's okay. These are all such big words, purpose and
Yeah.
calling and
Yes.
identity. And I think at the end of the day, knowing who we are and whose we are,
Mhm.
that is the foundation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that anytime, and I would say that both my roles as a mother, my role as an artist, anytime I have been falling apart or just, not able to wrap my head around what that looks like, or I don't know, just times when I've been maybe wandering around a little lost, which I've done many, many, many times since I
Yes.
became a
Yeah.
mother and since I've been writing. And I think it just more often than not, I mean, it almost sounds too simple, like too simple to be true. But I think that when our identity is in check and our identity is in Christ and we know that and
Yeah.
we rest in that, everything else, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. Obviously, motherhood matters. Obviously, our art matters.
Yeah.
I believe that very deeply down to my
Mhm.
bones. But
Yeah.
I don't even know that we have to label it any which way. I think we can be mothers and we can be artists. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I've ever said for myself what I believe my purpose versus my calling is in those
Yeah.
terms.
Yeah.
It's all like 80 shades of gray in my head, and I am somehow all of it. I'm somehow all of it, but I
Yeah.
think the truest part and the part that I can rest in always is just going to be knowing who I
Yeah.
am and whose I am.
No, I love that. And again, sorry to put you on the spot. I think
It
that
feels
was
like a cop out answer.
no, it's literally not because I think we overcomplicate it, and I'm learning that a
Mhm.
lot about my relationship with God, that we overcomplicate a lot of these answers to things when it's very simple. And I
Mhm.
love that you reminded us of our identity because not only is so applicable for moms, but just for us as human beings. And what I've come to realize, and I actually posted about this, and it resonated so much, and I'm so glad it did because I said, you know what? I realized that my purpose in life is not to be a mom, but my one of my callings is to be a mom.
Mhm.
That my purpose is to know God and to enjoy him forever, to be his disciple, to give him glory.
Mhm.
And then he gives us individual callings within that overarching purpose.
Mhm.
And so to remember, like you said, our identity first and foremost is in Christ, and that informs our callings, that
Yeah.
informs what we do. And
Mhm.
so I think it was really freeing to know that. But I think it's hard for us as moms to hear because we feel like we have to be all in for our kids. And you can be
Mhm.
all in while
Mhm.
also pursuing the creativity in the
Mhm.
margins of motherhood.
Yeah.
So I did want to close with this question because I feel like I'm kind of coming out of it where I told my husband months ago, I said, he's like, "Hey, you should like, like take this day or take that time when you're, you have a little extra time to yourself and I'm hanging out with Hunter to go do something that you love." Like I was getting my hair done and he's like, "Just spend a couple more hours while he's napping, doing something." I'm
That's a
like,
good man. That's a good
"He
that's a
is."
keeper husband right there.
Like honestly, sometimes my selfish heart is like, I want more, but he honestly gives me the sweetest moments.
Mm.
They're few and far between, but they're meaningful. They're
Yeah.
so meaningful. But anyway, so he was telling me that, and I'm like, I'm like, I don't know what I like to do anymore. It was just this raw, like, what are my hobbies? And
Mhm.
I still enjoy the same things I did before, but it just felt foggier ever since becoming a mom. And
Yeah.
you're nodding your head. You
Yes,
you can
yes.
relate. And so, to the mom, to the person listening, who maybe doesn't feel particularly creative, meaning like, I don't know how to
Mhm.
explore my creativity, how to worship God through art or my
Mhm.
passions.
Mhm.
How would you encourage her to pursue creativity, knowing that it is so important not only to us as
Mhm.
human beings, but as believers in Christ?
Yeah. I love to really encourage women right off the bat to expand their definition of creativity because I think a lot of women hear the word creativity and they think crafty or they
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
scrapbooking or they think like
Yeah.
Pinteresty mom. And I
Right,
just want to
right.
assure everyone listening, I am not that mom. I am not crafty. I do not do scrapbooks. I am not a Pinterest mom. You should see the things I make for lunch for my children. I mean, it's embarrassing. So I think, for me, writing and photography are kind of my two main creative lanes, but
Yeah.
there are a plethora of ways to be creative.
Mm,
And
mhm.
there are so many, one of the things I really, really love about creativity is that I think for so many of us, we have different skill sets, we have different
Mhm.
passions, we have different things we like to make, different things we like to do, different areas of creativity that light us
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And then we have different um, groups of people that we're passionate about. And so
Mm.
for me, Coffee and Crumbs is really that sweet intersection, right? Because it's writing and motherhood. I love
Yeah.
to encourage mothers. Mothers are just like my heartbeat. I love, love, love to encourage moms. I love to speak to moms. I love to just meet moms and make moms, feel safe and known and seen. And I think what has been such a joy of mine over the last 9 years of leading Coffee and Crumbs is that I've gotten to use my creative gifts and my creative passions for the group of people that I
Mm.
love to encourage. And
That's
so
good.
I would love for women to just even think about like who can you serve through your creative efforts and what are the things you really love to do. Maybe
Yeah.
you really really love gardening or you really really love baking or you really really love knitting.
Yeah.
Is there like a way for you to just start being engaged and make it pretty generous right off the
That's
bat?
good.
I think that when we're just getting started, just giving it away is such a blessing. And I think there is such a fulfillment that
Yeah.
happens when we are
Yeah.
able to steward our God-given gifts and use it for the kingdom and
It's so
bless
good.
people. And so think about what delights you, what
Yeah.
makes you feel alive, what do you love to make, what do you love to do, and is there an area
Mhm.
in your life where you can actively use that to bless other people and just start there.
I love that. So simple. I think it's cool to know too that for me it's like baking and cooking. I've always loved doing that. And now as a mom, like it doesn't make sense to my husband, but when he's napping, when he thinks rest for me is rest and creativity is taking a nap or doing something and like just laying still, I'll be up like trying a new bread recipe or doing something. And he's like, you should be like resting. And I'm like, this is.
This
I'm like,
is yeah.
yeah, and, sometimes, yes, I do take a nap, like, I will take advantage of that while Hunter is still taking 2 naps a day, but, I think it's cool to know that obviously, like, our creativity and our passions serve people, and that should
Mhm,
be a huge goal, but also knowing that, like, you can do both. You can do it for yourself, you can
mhm,
do it for other people, but,
mhm,
um, I love that encouragement. I think it's very, very simple. Is there something that, like you said writing and photography are kind of
mhm.
your main things. Is there anything else in this season that is kind of maybe surprising that is fueling you, is another creative outlet for you that maybe people wouldn't, like, I don't know, assume? Because writing
I
and
mean, I
photography
am
are
a
pretty similar.
yes, I am a serial wannabe gardener, and
I
so
love it.
we're having this conversation kind of coming off the cusp of spring, and I would
Mhm.
say every year around this time, I just start going to the nursery and I start buying plants, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I mean, it's embarrassing how many things I've killed in my front yard and backyard combined, but
Same.
I still keep trying, and you know
Yeah.
what? Every once in a while, I will hit a little stride and I will plant something that actually blooms and grows, and it's like a total miracle, and
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it is a sign of just my stubborn hope, but I feel like every year around this time I try to be a gardener again. So I'm kind of in that right now.
I
And
love that
I
so
really
much.
do like it. I like being outside. I love
Yeah,
putting my hands in the dirt. Again, don't know what I'm doing, making tons of mistakes, killing things all the time, but
it's okay.
I'm really trying.
I feel like that's a true test of a passion when you keep getting knocked down, but you keep
Yes.
coming back to it because you love it. I love that so
Yes.
much. I
Yeah.
also just kind of wanna leave, because like you said, actually, I'm in the thick of it. Like, I don't have an 11, 8, or 4-year-old,
Mhm.
but you remember what it was like having,
I do.
a toddler. I guess I would say to the one listening that, maybe is pregnant or it has a little just like me. I know a lot of moms are kind of have followed the podcast because they've seen that I have a 1-year-old. And I guess I would say to you, if you feel like you don't have any margin or room to be creative
Mhm.
and to pursue your passions because you literally cannot see straight some days.
Mhm.
I just want to remind you, it sounds so cliche, but I'm actually living that fulfillment of what women have told me now is that it's going to get better. And what I mean
Mhm.
by that is like every season is sweet, but I mean getting better by like you're going to have more margin. Your kids are
Mhm.
going to change. They're going to have some more independence in different ways. And although Hunter is super dependent on me still, I am seeing the margins of like, oh, like he can play for 10, 15 minutes straight,
Mhm.
and I can, go bake something or I can read on the couch while he plays. Like there's just certain things that I am seeing the fulfillment of like, wow, I can enjoy motherhood while also enjoying this rest and this creativity. And I'm
Mhm.
seeing the seasons change and I'm loving it,
Yeah.
and just appreciating where I am now. So I don't know. To those who maybe feel like they cannot see straight and they cannot see a way out of where they are, like I am seeing it, and I
Mhm.
I, I feel like I'm living proof of that.
Yes, let me just assure you, as the mom of the 11, 8, and 4-year-olds,
Yeah.
more time is coming your way.
Yes. Yes.
It
And
feels like it will never come, but I
yeah.
promise you it will come. My boys ride their bikes to school. I
Oh.
don't even have to drive them anymore to school. They ride their bikes most of the time and
Yeah.
they can make their own meals. And I mean, let me tell you, once all your kids are out of diapers and you don't even know when they're going to the bathroom anymore,
Wow.
that is you can, like, hear the hallelujah chorus, you can hear it. I mean, it is the sound of angels
What a
singing.
what a day. Someone was like, "You should start with Hunter right now." I'm like overwhelmed, but I'm like, like, we're gonna get there someday.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think that is so, so encouraging. Ashley, you are a joy. I know I hit you with some questions today that may have been a little intense, but I know you answered them with such grace and truth. And
Mm.
you guys, if you love this, you're going to love Create Anyway. So I want people to have an opportunity to hear from you about where they can find the book, and stay connected with you too.
Yes, I would love that. My website is ashleegad.com. I am mostly writing at Substack these days, so that's the best place
Nice.
to keep in touch with my writing. And Create Anyway is available pretty much everywhere books are
Love
sold. So
it.
Amazon, Target, Barnes& and Noble, Christian Book, all the typical places.
Never gets old. Anywhere books are sold. So,
Anywhere
so
books are
fun.
sold.
I will have all that linked below so you guys can grab a copy. It's beautiful, not only in words, but it just looks stunning. Like I literally have my copy right over here. It's so
Oh,
beautiful.
thank
Ashlee,
you.
thank you so much for encouraging us today. Friends, if you are a mom yourself, we pray that you found just even a little nugget of encouragement and hold on to this in the moments that are tough. If you have a mom friend, please share this away so that we can just spread the encouragement and truth of Create Anyway. We love you guys. Thank you for spending 30 minutes with us today, and we will see you next week.